Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Mindshift Mami show. Today, we are going to be speaking about a very trending topic, which is about how to live a soft life, but more specifically, how to live slower, how to live a more slower, calmer, relaxing, in your feminine energy life. This benefits women specifically. We are at a point in our society and in our time where we are recognizing that there has been an imbalance where many of us have been in our wounded feminine energy or in overly masculine energy, and we're tired. We are tired and we want to rest in our feminine, rightfully so. And that is showing up in all these different trending ways on social media, whether it is soft life, whether it is all the debate about 50-50 relationships and hypergamy and things of that nature. So today I want to talk about slowing down and 5 different areas in our life that we can begin to implement these steps to start living more comfortably and not being so anxious all the time and so in our head all the time and thinking, using more of our masculine energy rather than our feminine. So what this really is all about is just trying to balance those two energies. So the first area in our lives that we can begin to slow down is in our walking. Start paying attention more to the speed in which you walk. And this goes for everywhere. When you're in your home, when you're at work, when you're at the grocery store, when you're at the gym, wherever it is that you are walking in life, start paying attention to the speed in which you walk. And the challenge here is to start moving slower. A lot of us are moving like we've got somewhere to be 30 minutes ago, and that's not even the case. Part of living a soft life is having that air of leisure around you. Anybody who is living a soft life is not in an anxious mindset where they need to be go, 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 go all the time. What you can begin to do is start being mindful and practicing slow walking at home. When you are walking from your living room to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the bathroom, from the bathroom to the bedroom, everywhere, I want you to be mindful of the speed in which you're walking, and I want you to purposefully start walking slower. You will notice over time that you are going to drop more into your body, and specifically for women, more into your hips. It was actually kind of funny when I started doing this at home, how I really noticed that I started just kind of swaying more to each side. I would even kind of play with it and do it kind of exaggerated and just be like, boom, 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 boom. But it felt really good. A lot of us are walking very stiffly, and you want to be able to kind of relax into your body, chill out, and take your time moving spaces. So being at home is a great place to start practicing that. And then challenge yourself and begin doing it in public places. Take your time at work, walking through the hallways. Slow it down. Marilyn Monroe, as we all know, is an excellent historical figure of a woman who really embodied her feminine energy. I always remember this story, this anecdote from a reporter who was walking the streets of New York City with Marilyn, interviewing her. And Marilyn's real name is Norma Jean. So she's talking to Norma Jean, and Norma Jean says to the reporter, "Do you want me to show you her?" And show you her meaning Marilyn. And the reporter says, "Yes, please." So during this time, while they're talking, nobody was noticing Marilyn on the street. They were on a busy New York street and nobody was paying any attention to her, calling out her name, asking for autographs or anything. It wasn't until Norma Jean, aka Marilyn, decided to switch on Marilyn that people started immediately noticing her and gravitating to her. The reporter couldn't really explain what she did. Part of what Marilyn did was slow down her speed, drop into her body, and walk femininely. Part of it too, I'm sure, was her eye contact with people and whatnot. But there's no doubt in my mind that she also made sure to just simply drop down into her body and slow down. And if you look at some of the famous footage and scenes of Marilyn in movies, you can see the way she moves. You can see the way she sways through a room. It's very feminine. It's very much in her body, in her hips. So she's a great example of somebody that you may want to look at to see what walking slowly and in your body looks like. And maybe you don't want to pop into every room. The whole point here is to just simply start practicing slowing down from what your current speed is right now. We all know the anxious moment when you are at the register at, a grocery store and you're fumbling to get your credit card out of your wallet or something because you're thinking about the people behind you in line. I want you to kill that kind of thinking. Take your time taking your card out. It is okay. Slow down. If you are trying to be more feminine, if you're trying to live a soft, slow life, women who live these soft, slow lives are not all rattled and shaken just because they don't have their credit card out at the very moment the cashier may be asking for it. Take your time. It's going to take 5 more seconds for you to slip it out of your wallet instead of you struggling and over apologizing for no reason at all. Another area to start slowing down in public is when you are walking towards a door and somebody is holding it open for you. Don't you dare, from this moment on, do that slow jog or that fast jog over to the door and the person that is holding it for you. That is not slow life, soft life living, okay? And I'll give you a very example from my own life. Funnily enough, I was practicing kind of my slow walk, slow living, slow paced life one day, and I was walking to my gym. And I'm crossing the road on the crosswalk, and I'm about halfway through, and an older gentleman was at the door to the gym, and he was holding it and waiting for me. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this kind of works, this whole feminine energy thing. But my old habit kicked right in, and I sped up to the door, and I kid you not, I could even tell in the older man's energy that his energy shifted because I was not acting in my feminine energy. And I think we have to really unpack why it is that so many of us feel inclined to do this shuffle rush to somebody who has taken the time voluntarily themselves to wait and open the door for you. I believe it is tied to a form of people pleasing. It is a tendency to overthink things and put other people ahead of you. It is an issue where we believe we are inconveniencing others with our existence, which is really not a great way to be thinking about ourselves at all. But I really do believe it's rooted in that. It's like we really can't believe, oh my God, somebody's holding a door for us. Oh my gosh, they're spending their time on me. I need to hurry and be there right away. No. We cannot be thinking like that. And if we think back to women such as Marilyn, and I'm going to continue to use Marilyn as an example here because she's such a notable figure. Would you ever picture Marilyn Monroe rushing over to a door, doing that little half jog thing that a man is holding open for her? Absolutely not. She would not, because that is not being in your feminine energy. That is not living a soft life. That is not living a slow life. Looking back now, I wish that I had kept my same pace, walking regularly, walking my medium slow, whatever that new slow was. And I'm not saying to go at a turtle's pace and be like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna milk this now. I'm not saying to do that. Just keep your regular pace that you had. Whatever you had going, don't change it just because somebody is doing a nice thing and holding the door open for you. You do not have to think that you are putting somebody else's comfort ahead of yours. First of all, you should not be doing that for a man ever. Your comfort should be coming first as a woman. And it is the man, especially if he is a gentleman, it is his pleasure to do that type of thing for you. So allow him to. Allow men to open doors for you. Allow them to wait there. You take your time. You do your regular pace. You walk through the door. You say thank you. You can go ahead and say thank you. Once you approach him, and don't be walking like this. Just, regular walk, I'm saying. Once you approach him, say thank you and walk on through, still in your regular pace. Since that occurred, I learned my lesson from that, And I've had several more times happen now where men have held doors open for me and I've just kept my pace and walked through. And when I tell you that feels so much better, it does. The second area in our lives that we are going to begin slowing down is in our speaking, and specifically how and when you choose to speak on things. A lot of us as women can tend to be a little bit too agreeable, and sometimes we're too quick to even be disagreeable. But a lot of the time we are too quick on being agreeable. And this is again rooted in that people-pleasing construct that a lot of young girls were raised to be. People pleasers and putting the comfort and ease of others first before our own. So those people-pleasing tendencies show up in a lot of obscure ways that you're not even really conscious of. That's why it's so important that if you are trying to be in your feminine energy and become more womanly, you need to slow down. You need to slow down and actually listen to what people are saying and give yourself the opportunity and time to digest whatever it is they're saying, and then really think about whether or not you actually agree with what they're saying. Just think about how you truly feel about whatever words or opinion or topic is being talked about. This is so important, and I really want to break this down even more. This touches on all kinds of relationships with our friends, with our family members, with our partner, with our coworkers, with our supervisor, with our children. Another parent at daycare that was speaking about just the way that they raise their kids, basically. This person was talking about a certain technique that they choose to use with their children. I also noticed that every time they were saying it and discussing it with me, they kept saying, right, right. And that right there was a flag for me where I'm like, oh, they're trying to get validation from me. They're trying to get a response from me to agree with them. So I was already doing the first step, which is to not respond right away. Even physical. Don't be nodding. Don't do any kind of yes, no, if you don't actually agree or disagree with what's being said. I was being respectful and I was making eye contact, but I was completely aware of my body and making sure I was not doing any kind of affirmative body movement that would make that person then assume that I was completely on board with them. So due to that, the person started prompting me and kept saying their opinion and then saying, right, right. And that is when I chose to pause and say, well, I do things this way. This is the way I look at this situation, blah, 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 blah. And then I proceeded to share my own opinion and thoughts about however ways I go about that certain topic with children. And that was a win for me because I was really being intentional in that conversation to really listen to the person and acknowledge their side. But I was so making sure that I was not going to go back into my old people-pleasing ways and be smiling and be nodding and, being like, yeah, I understand. Like, no, I ain't doing that no more. Especially, I just don't. And it was just a matter of simply not agreeing with the certain technique. It wasn't anything super crazy. And I just think this is really important for all of us to do. And you have to not worry about not being friends with somebody or them not, or stepping on anybody's toes. It's all this inherent conditioning that we have. Logically, you're still going to be able to have conversations with that person. You're still going to be able to be in relationship. But I feel like there's a fear in a lot of us, rooted probably in childhood, that if you go against the grain, oh my God, it's going to be an issue. What do you mean? And it's really not like that. You can say things in a way where you're disagreeing with people and stating your own opinion while still being respectful of theirs. You can still have perspective and see why somebody thinks the way they do. So there are plenty of times when I can say something like, I see what you mean. I see how you feel that way. But for me, I like to do XYZ with my kids. Or I understand that's how, you do it and that's how you see things. But for me, prefer to do it this way because XYZ. And you can choose how much of an explanation you want to go into about your opinion. You kind of want to be careful not to be going into too much explanation to the point where you feel like you are over explaining and getting defensive of your opinion, because we don't want that. That's not feminine energy. That's not being soft and being true to who you are. You just kind of slow down. You think about what you want to say, and you just say that little bit, and that's it. Don't feel like you have to keep going and going to take care of this person's possibly bruised ego because you didn't agree with them. It's okay to have discourse. It's safe to have discourse. Trust yourself and the people that you surround yourself in your life to have safe discourse. And I'll tell you this, if you do have people in your life who are for whatever reason unable to handle your differing opinions when you are saying them in a respectful, neutral way, then you don't need those people in your life. It's as simple as that. The last thing I want to say about speaking slowly and truthfully and the importance of this is because you may think that it's not that big a deal for you to be nodding your head with somebody that you don't agree with. Any kind of response that is not true to what you truly feel, you are endangering yourself. And what I mean by that is your brain is always listening to you and what you say. And your brain, it does not compute lies in the way that you think it does. Because what you're essentially doing is lying if you're agreeing with something that you don't really agree with, right? And the problem here is that you are breaking trust within yourself and your brain is going to take that lie and take it as fact and truth. So we have to be very mindful of everything that we say and do. We cannot pretend to be agreeable with things that are not feeling truly right in ourselves. You're killing parts of yourself, basically, when you are lying to yourself just to appease somebody else. And this is just very important in all aspects of our life. Do not go ahead and quickly agree with something just to put others at ease, because you are doing yourself a disservice. And you need to build up your tolerance for trusting yourself, for speaking your truth, for speaking your true opinion and how you feel about things. And how you do that is by slowing down and pausing and thinking and digesting thoughts and only outputting whatever feels true to you. All right, so the third area in life that we can begin to slow down and live a more soft life is in our eating. And I am so guilty in this area. And it's just an area that I've become more conscious of my own eating habits and then others around me. And I gotta tell you guys, girls, it does not look cute when we are I've seen some beautiful girls, cute girls in restaurants, out in public, stuffing their faces. And I get it. We get hungry. I get it. I'm there too, right with you. But I'm telling you, just from having practiced more and been more aware, it does not look cute. It does not look cute. You know how people say like, and she could be the most beautiful woman, but then when she opens her mouth and it's like she talks all crazy and you're like, ugh. That's the same thing with eating. And we need to be so mindful of how we're eating. Slow eating benefits us in so many more ways than just whether or not you look cute. It's not shallow. It's not about vanity. It really does matter how you present yourself externally, and it impacts you internally as well. Eating slower is better for your body as well, because the slower you eat, the more chews you're getting in, and the better that is for your digestive system. I think we've all been in a situation where we're just inhaling food down. Well, at least I have. I'll be the first to admit it and raise my hand. When you're really hungry and you're inhaling food, you're not gonna feel good right after. You get full really quick. You didn't even really enjoy your food. You barely tasted it. And that's not good for your stomach. You can get a stomach ache. You can have bathroom problems because you have these big blocks of food that you that we didn't take time to chew. And I'll give you another example right here. Literally today, before I filmed this episode, I was excited to shoot today, but I was like, okay, I'm hungry. I need to have like some, something to eat first. And I had these leftover shrimp tacos from dinner last night. And I was excited to finish them. And they were just like these like baby shrimp tacos. I had 2 of them, but they were little thick babies. And I was like, the first one, I was like, I did like 2-3 bites maybe. And I felt like I had eyes on myself from like an outside point of view. Like I could just see my mouth like, and I'm like, ew, that does not look good. That does not, I look crazy. Can I calm down? I'm acting like an animal. So for my second taco, I chose to be more mindful and slow down. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to count my chew. The best thing to do is to chew your food as much as possible. That is the best thing you can do for your digestive system. You're going to enjoy your food more, because if we're going back to this slow life, you want to live a soft life. You want to enjoy your food. You want to really appreciate all the different flavors in it and whatnot. You can't really do that when you're 2.5 bites in and it's gone. Let it permeate your taste buds. And so for me, I kid you not, I started counting my bites for this one little shrimp taco, but it had nice thick shrimp in it. And I was like, let me count and let the girlies know. 40 bites, you guys. 40 chews. I kid you not. Until it felt like enough, like smothered enough. I mashed it up in my mouth enough 40 times where then I was like, okay, this particular bite is ready to go down. I did not do 40 bites on that first taco, but that second one I did, and I slowed down and I enjoyed the rest of my meal, and it felt so much better. So my advice for you here is to slow down on everything you're eating and count how many chews it'll really take you to do. And it really depends on the food item, but I'm telling you right now, if you're doing a shrimp taco, I want at least 40 chews out of there. The fourth area in our lives that I want us to begin to be more mindful and slow down in is leaving the house. And I want to specifically bring in children here. I understand that maybe not all of our listeners have children, but I am speaking specifically to moms here that have children. We need to slow down. And we need to stop putting our anxiousness and rushed tendencies onto our children. That's a problem. And I'm calling us out. I'm calling me out too, because I know I'm guilty of it as well. I think if we're all being completely honest with ourselves when it comes to times and circumstances that we are rushing out of the house and we are yelling at kids, yelling at them to put their shoes on, their coats on, 99.9% of the time, it is not even the child's fault that we're running late. We are the parents, we are the adults. It is on us to be more responsible and disciplined and organized ahead of time so that we can be at a place where everybody can put on their things one at a time. The kid can mess up on his shoe, he can figure out how to tie his shoe, and you're not yelling at him or just doing it for him. We need to plan as far in advance as possible. And this comes down to an organized nighttime routine where you're getting things ready the night before, and your morning routine where you're having things prepped. Getting ready for school is it's a rush in a lot of families. It's an anxious ball of stress for a lot of moms. But it is not fair for our children for us to be putting that onto them. And it's not fair for ourselves. Nobody feels great starting their morning stressed and rushed. And we also have to ask ourselves in these instances, is there even a necessity to be rushing? Because there are many times when we are rushing out of the house when we really don't need to be. It is just, again, that anxious energy that is balled up in us, that we feel like everything is an emergency. We feel like everything is go, go, go. Anxiousness is something that is passed down generationally. If you had a very anxious mom, chances are you have some very anxious tendencies, whether you realize it or not. So we need to be mindful what kind of traits we are subconsciously passing on to our children by us modeling them and then making their little bodies feel that. More mistakes happen when we rush because you're not thinking as clearly. That is when book packs get left behind. That is when lunches get left behind because everybody's you're not thinking clearly. You're just like outdoor, and you're not making sure you have everything. And we have to remember, especially young children. My daughter is 3 right now. Little kids, they have no concept of what it means to be late in the way that we do. So when there were times in the past when I was like, come on, Luna, we gotta go. Mommy's late. Like, she's looking back at me like, what is that? What, like, I'm chilling. I'm here playing with my dolls. Like, this sounds a lot funner than this energy you're giving me. They live in the now. And that is such a beautiful thing. And that's something that we can actually relearn from them. Not to say that we're going to be perfect and that you're not going to have something. You really are late. You really need to get out the house and they're not ready. I think the important takeaway here is to make sure we are calibrating and rebalancing ourselves and not letting that stress and anxiousness and frustration out on the kids. Okay? Just because we're dealing with it and we're trying to handle it, it does not help putting that energy on your kids. From my own experience with my child, the more I try to force her, oh no, she does not work that way. You're just asking for them to be upset, them to cry, them to delay you even more. You have to be smart about it and be clever and try to switch things into a game or something, especially with older kids. The first one that puts on their coats and their boots, gets a lollipop or whatever it is that you need to do. If I am not above bribing in moments like that. But I've learned that when I'm putting too much energy on my daughter in the morning, because I'm like, I need you to get ready. I need us to get ready and be out the house. She's like, She runs from me. She's gonna go do something else and she doesn't want to get out the house. So what I've had to do is remove my force from her, remove my energy from her, focus on myself, do every other little cleanup thing that I have to do anyways that I'm not done with. And every time I've done that, she's naturally come to me then when she's ready. She's just curious or whatever. She just doesn't feel that anxious energy, and that's when I can get her and calmly be like, okay, we're ready to go, like, here, we're gonna start doing this stuff. So I really encourage you to kind of just play with your energy. Don't do this forceful type of thing because it really doesn't work. So living a soft life, living a slow life, you are modeling zenness. You are modeling living in the now. You are modeling ease. And you want your children to grow up with ease and relaxation, not stress and anxiousness. Of course, I don't want you to beat up yourself or feel, super guilty. The important thing is that we're just mindful and that we try to do better moving forward. So if you find yourself kind of getting in a tizzy, I want you to take deep breaths in through your nose and even out through your nose. But you can also do out through your mouth if that's easier for you right now. And just remember that you're gonna get there. You're gonna get from A to B, and it's okay. The 5th area that we can begin to slow down our lives to live a more soft life is in our driving. You know who you are, speed racers. In all honesty, it is a very dangerous, bad habit that many of us have when we are going faster in our cars than is the speed limit. People can get hurt or worse, killed. Just flat out, it's the truth. Despite the extremes, that is just another area in life where whether you realize it or not, you are putting your body in a very anxious state and a hyped up adrenaline state when you are choosing to drive fast. Everything that I'm talking about, it's things that I've done myself and I've lived through, and I'm just trying to come on the other side. I got my first speeding ticket a couple months ago. I was racing to the gym and I was having fun. I'm not even gonna lie. I got the Tessie. I'm bobbing and weaving in traffic. I get pulled over as I should have been. He told me I was doing 70 in a 45. I was even surprised because it really didn't. I knew I was going faster, but it didn't feel like that. When they ask you where you're going to, you realize how ridiculous you were acting, because I had to say to him, I had a gym class. Like, it was not worth it. I really could have hurt somebody. And I I got lucky, you guys, because he gave me a ticket and it was a couple $100, which, see, you're gonna pay the price. But I could have had to go to court for that because the speed was so above, you know, that particular area on the road that he was actually supposed to make me go straight, like have a court date. But he was very nice. Thankfully, I was very lucky. I just got off with a ticket, but I told myself, like, I'm not doing this again. This, you know, I got very lucky here. That was very unsmart of me. Even though it took me an incident like that to fully appreciate slow driving, I really chose to appreciate it. It makes you realize how much there is around you to appreciate when you are driving. You're not so beeline zip focused on where you're going, where everything around you is basically just a blur. But I was just actually really taking in my scenery, really started to slow down and appreciate the leaves. The leaves were changing at that time, the sky, even the neighborhoods and the different, you know, personalities of the houses. It's important to just chill out, because you being more anxious in your car and wanting to go, that's not going to change any external factors. So why not ease into your body, slow down, go with the flow? You're going to feel so much better when you do get to where you're going. You're just going to feel more empowered that you can control your mind. You can be stuck in traffic, bumper to bumper traffic, and you will still be okay, because you know it's going to move when it's going to move. Nothing I can do out of my control. The amount of times that I have now come to my class late, but I have gone with the flow and accepted whatever's going to be will be, and my prime spot is wide open, ready for me, or the class hasn't even started, even though it's like 5 minutes past the starting time. There's so many things like that happen in life that we also have to be open to and trust and believe, and just hope that, you know, that's going to happen. Instead of expecting the worst, we need to start expecting the best, and also just being okay with whatever is. And that will help you slow down in life and live that softer life. So some closing thoughts on living a more slower life. I believe we are addicted as a society when it comes to speed. We're just addicted to fast. Many of us have been conditioned since childhood to be on the go and to be fast about it. Whether you are constantly cleaning, whether you are constantly overworking yourself, whether you are constantly feeling like you need to fill every moment of your life with some kind of activity, that is all correlated with this fast living that is detrimental to our attempts to live a more slow life. A slow life needs to incorporate rest, which in itself is something that we do not get enough of. And some people, I have heard, consider rest a privilege, which is horrible, because rest is actually our birthright. And that's something that we need to realize as a collective and really demand and take back. An excellent resource to learn more about rest as a liberation and a liberative spiritual practice is the Nap Ministry. All about the importance of rest and how it was stolen from us. And it's just really difficult to uncondition ourselves to realize that it's not lazy to nap. And even if it is, well, if you want to call it lazy, call it lazy. Be lazy and be proud, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of us have been given the negative connotation with laziness. But we have to relearn that it is okay to be lazy. It is okay to rest. And we actually need to make ourselves do that and get more comfortable with it more and more each day. So I wish many, many naps for you. Take an afternoon nap, sleep in, go to bed early. I used to go to bed very late, and I do have my nights here and there, but I feel the difference when I'm not going to bed at my regular bedtime now. It's been super helpful for me in maintaining my self-care routines. So highly recommend bumping up your current bedtime routine. If you're not going to bed early already, try to go to bed an hour earlier and see what that does for you. And a final bonus tip that I'd like to give you guys here is to start picking up slow life hobbies. This can be things like knitting, If you are into working out, I highly recommend implementing exercises like Pilates into your routines, so you're not doing these high intensity, fast speed, workouts all the time. But something like Pilates is slow. It's about just certain movements in your body. It's also a very great feminine workout to do. Reading. Read a book. Please start picking up books. Put down the phone and pick up a book, because that phone, that in itself too, is a speedy activity, especially if you're on the TikTok. You're on TikTok and you're speeding through all these short little videos. Your brain is like, zip, 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 zip. Pick up a book at the end of the evening. And the great thing about books is there is a book on anything and everything. You can have the most obscure interest and there will be a book on it. We really need to start reading more, and that is a great activity that is more of a slow life activity, and it's a great thing to do before bed instead of your phone, because it's actually been proven to help you get more relaxed and sleep easier. Painting is a great slow life activity. Learning an instrument, that's going to take time, and that's something that you can really challenge yourself to not rush through and just try to figure out a little bit at a time, and you can really be proud of the small progress that you make each day. And the great thing about hobbies in particular, and especially a lot of these soft life hobbies, is they make you more interesting as a person. A lot of us these days don't have any hobbies because we're just stuck on our phones and social media all day. What do you tell people that you do besides your work when you're, going to meet people? I think we all want to be interesting people, and it's on us to make sure that we're doing things, we're learning things that are going to make us more interesting. And that's just an external reason, but internally, it's just better for us. It's better for your brains. It's better for your overall life. You're going to feel more enriched. If you don't care about being interesting to people, that's great too. I do want you to care more about how you feel about yourself, and you are going to feel so much better about yourself when you pick up hobbies that you are interested in and can learn more about. And they can be just random things too. I recently picked up, I'm challenging myself in this new year to start learning origami, and specifically dollar bill origami. I saw this at Barnes and Noble, and I just thought this was so cool. Instructions for 15 models. Look at you guys. It has like a little horse, a freaking telephone, the old-fashioned telephones, a guitar, a flower. Like, tell me you would not be impressed if we're out to lunch and you put a couple dollars of the tip on the table, and I just pick one up and I nonchalantly make you a freaking Pegasus. Like, how cool is this? And this is something that is going to take me time to learn. Like, it's funny. I can see already there's so many steps, like there's so many foldings and things, but I'm going to challenge myself in this new year, this next year in 2024, to learn some of these, if not all of them. There's, I don't know how many there are in here. 15 models. So I want to learn at least one, and I'm going to challenge myself to learn as many as possible. And then once you just learn that one thing, you guys, then now I'm a dollar origami. I'm that dollar origami girl. Who else of your friends do you know that can make this, So this is the kind of thing I would recommend you look out for, and just start as you start living your softer life, as you start living your slower life, where we get our brains back to a place where we don't mind taking the time to learn something that is intricate, that we can't get done in 2 seconds. It's this 2-day Amazon Prime world we're living in that has us thinking that everything has to be right now. Or, and then it's just that fixed mindset where it's like, if I don't get it right away, then I'm not good at it. We have to unlearn all these negative mindsets and start, as I've said before in previous episodes, start implementing a more growth mindset. And part of that is being okay with making mistakes, being okay with learning things and taking a while to learn them, because it's not about having the end result right away. It's about the process. But I know this right here is going to be a super cool end result. So I'm excited to get into that. So that is it for today's episode, you guys. Thanks so much. I hope you took some helpful tidbits from today. Please share below any tips or advice you have and ways that you are implementing or challenging yourself to live a more slow life in 2024. If you are listening to this as a podcast, make sure you are following the podcast. And if you are on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much for being here. Keep shifting those minds, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.